Advertising and you. How advertisers market to your memory. In a capitalistic society, money needs to be flowing for anything to get done. From the big corporations spending it to get research and development done, to a private citizen spending their hard-earned money on tasks that they find amusing, money is the backbone of society. A substantial part of the system is that of advertising. Advertising is how companies show their products to their intended markets. It used to be as simple as a well-placed drawing with a slogan, but nowadays it has evolved into something much more complex, with everything being planned from the shade of red to the placement of the product. Advertising is, however, useless without being memorable. Thus, advertisers strive to make you recognize and recall their product, both consciously and unconsciously, and sometimes make you have fond memories of it without even having ever had it in the first place. After all, if a person does not remember the advertising, even on a subconscious level, then it had no effect. Advertising relies on two different types of remembering in order to be successful: recognition and recall. Recognition is the process of recognizing something as familiar. For example, if you see your cat, you recognize it as yours, or if you take a multiple choice list and you would just select the correct one, you would most likely recognize it. Advertisers use this form of remembering for when you are in the store, hoping that once you see a product on the shelf, you recognize it from the advertisement. Recall, on the other hand, is your ability to remember information when given a cue, but not an answer. For example, if you were asked what a good brand of adhesive bandage was, you could respond with Band-Aid. This type of memory is very important with every demographic. However, this goes even further the younger you are. As DeVoe says in Advertising and Recognition and Recall by Age, including teens, he claims that young people remember nearly all advertising better than older people, and as such have them as their target audience on many advertisements. That is why it seems that for every cereal commercial you see, it likely has been preceded by 4 children's cereal commercials. Children, including teens, are very susceptible to advertising, and have a greater day after call effect than any other age group. Also important in advertising is how your memory is stored, in particular your long-term memory. Long-term memory is the entirety of your memory that you have encoded for later use. It includes things such as important dates, a recipe for a cake you learned as a child, and where you left your car the night before. It differs from short-term memory, which is the memory you have temporarily for the moment that you are in, and that is theoretically infinite and can be recalled for a much longer period of time. Long-term memory itself can be separated into 2 main groups: explicit and implicit memory. Most of the examples I've listed thus far are explicit memory, things that you actively remember and require conscious thought to recall. Advertisers can take advantage of that in the form of nostalgia, as Stuart Elliott from the New York Times says in New Ads Stirring Memories of Commercial Past. Recently, several companies have been running advertisements that are similar to those that they ran in the past, in the hopes of making you remember their previous advertising campaigns, and the products and memories you experience because of them. An example of this is of Sunkist's Thank You Charlie campaign, which alters their previous campaign of Sorry Charlie, a campaign that showed a tuna fish being not selected for the tuna factory, as messed up as that is, in which they modify the jingle to be more memorable by those that have been enticed with it before, and to highlight their new products for those who frequently buy tuna. Implicit memory, however, is more of a hidden type of memory. It is an almost entirely unconscious memory, which includes procedural memories such as how to tie your shoe or how to ride a bike. Advertising has an effect on this type of memory too, whether you are aware of it or not. Courbet, Kazan, and Intertagia explain in their article the long-term effects of e-advertising, the influence of internet pop-ups viewed at a low level of attention and implicit memory, that pop-up ads, although normally seen as annoying, can leave an unconscious positive opinion for a product that you have no memory of seeing before. After being exposed to a few pop-ups for a few different products during internet browsing, subjects were asked about their feelings on a certain product 7 to 30 days later. They found that even though the subject claims they had no memory of the advertisement, most subjects respond with a positive feeling for a product both 7 days and 30 days later when they were actually exposed to the product via advertising compared to when they were not, even with this effect lasting longer than 3 months. They also found that the positive feeling increased more when they were shown the words that were on the pop-ups compared to when they were shown the image, although there was still a positive effect with the image, the logo, and the brand name. This shows that implicit memory is just as effective in advertising, if not more effective than explicit, as you are not required to be consciously thinking of the product to have a positive opinion of it. Advertisers don't have to rely on remembering their product alone, however. In many instances, your brain can do half the work by creating false memory. A false memory is a memory your brain has created entirely on its own, with you never having to experience it in order to recall it, regardless of its legitimacy. As an example of this, maybe from stories you heard about yourself from when you were a toddler. Your brain will most likely not have those memories stored any longer due to infantile amnesia, the type of amnesia that you experienced when you were unable to recall events from before the age of around 4. And you will instead fabricate the memory in order to fill a perceived hole in its perception. Advertisers can use this when they create ads with high amounts of imagery, according to Chris Gorski from Viz.org. In this article, Faking It, Can Ads Create False Memories About Products? Studies have shown that different types of ads for a fake product, and then half being given a free sample of the fake product, are then asked about the product a week later. Those that are exposed to the low imagery advertisement gave the expected response of it if they had been had it, tried it, or if they had not tried it. However, those that had a high imagery ad but had not been given a sample were just as likely to remember they had tried the product as those that had actually eaten the sample. In fact, they were confident in their memories and had positivity of the product. They also found that the more familiar the brand of the false product, the more likely a false memory would be created. Advertising as a whole is an essential part of our economic world. Without it, products would be unknown, unbought, and never made again. Without advertisement, jobs would be lost, less food would be produced, and poverty would increase. But that doesn't mean that advertisements aren't designed specifically to mess with your head. They target demographics that are more likely to remember them throughout their life in order to get a lifetime customer, such as in the despicable case of Joe Camel being used to advertise cigarettes to children. They also can use your fond memories of the past to manipulate you into buying products, or in fact, use smaller, quicker ads to leave you with an innate sense of positivity for a product. Sometimes they don't even need you to buy their product in the first place, because of their use of imagery makes your brain think that you already have. In the end, advertising is very linked to memory, and could not exist without it, as without memory, you would not remember to buy the product in the first place.